I'm Amber. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Amber. Nice to meet you too.
All right, so it's great to finally meet you.
Yeah, you as well.
So I'm really excited to learn more about you. As you know, we set up this interview over the phone. I contacted you about a week ago to have you come and meet me for a position as project coordinator here at Aetna Insurance in Hartford, Connecticut. Let me tell you a little more about us. We are an equal opportunity employer. We strive to be innovative within our products and services to enhance our customers' experiences. Here at Aetna, we inspire each other to explore ideas to make the world a better place. We listen and respect our customers and each other so we can act with insight, understanding, and compassion. Overall, we want to do the right things for the right reasons. We expect these values to be embodied by our leadership team. We will be responsible to support development, implementation, and ongoing management of departmental projects and initiatives. If everything sounds good to you, I would like to ask you some questions to get to know you better.
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So first, I was thinking about asking you about a time that you anticipated potential problems and developed preventative measures.
Yeah, so at Sacred Heart University, where I went to college, I was a member and a captain of the Women's Division I field hockey team. So one thing that I was on a team with 24 girls, and when you put 24 girls on a team together, you're definitely going to mix because you have different people with all different backgrounds and just come from different families. So one thing that me and my other captain were in charge of was the team rules that we wanted during our senior year, along with our other 3 seniors, and just how we were going to manage, or just the rules that we wanted to best put in place for our team to achieve our end goal of making it to our conference tournament.
Okay, that's awesome. That was my next question. What was your goal that you were working towards? But clearly you really wanted to get to that end goal of the conference. Were you guys able to make it to the conference, or has that not happened yet?
Yeah, so it was last fall, since field hockey is a fall sport, we were able to qualify for the NEC conference tournament. We ended up as the 4th seed, but that was just our end goal to qualify, and then each year hopefully we can just continue to improve our seeds.
That's awesome. I'm really glad to hear that you guys actually qualified. Sounds like a pretty big deal coming from a D1 school. What did your other teammates say about your efforts to help make it to the conference?
So that was one thing coming into preseason that I knew was going to be harder, was stepping into a captain role and a leadership role, because it's you and 1 or 2 other girls in those leadership roles. And not to say that other people don't have leadership roles, because everybody's role on a team is important. So it was just, I was still everybody's friend on the team, but at the end of the day, when we stepped onto that field, I needed to be the leader instead of somebody's friend, and put our teams and our team's goals and the standards and expectations we set for ourselves in that season. I just needed to keep everybody accountable for that, and it was hard. And I think, not that I lost friendships along the way, but people were kind of just like, oh, Colleen's being really annoying today, like, why is she trying so hard? But aside from that, we did meet our end goal, and everybody on the team was, I think, very proud, and we were proud of the season that we had, and I just was proud of the leadership role that I took charge in.
That's awesome. To have emotional intelligence is one thing, but also to be able to have the self-recognition enough to know to put things to the side. That's incredible. I'm glad to hear it. How would you compare your efforts compared to your other 2 captains?
So there were other 2 captains, and I think that we each did very well. I think we had our own kind of like our strengths, and like someone handled the strength and conditioning aspect of it, and someone handled the social life aspect of it, and someone managed the field hockey aspect of it, and I was in charge of the field hockey aspect. So not to say that that was more important than either or, because at the end of the day, we're all just trying to become these better human beings. But I definitely think that my performance, and that I heard from the other girls on the team, was just that they were all really proud of the initiative that I took to really just hold everybody to the same standards that I was holding myself to, and I just always felt that I had to hold myself even to a higher standard just to keep everybody around me motivated.
Yeah, I agree. That's got to be really difficult, especially when, you have friends on the team and then you try to separate those things, but it sounds like you did a really good job. So what would you say you took from all this experience? What was the take back?
So something that I definitely learned from this experience, like I said before, was just sometimes you have to put things aside for a common interest or a common goal, and I just really learned a lot about myself and the mental toughness that I did have, and like just not even the mental but the physical and emotional toughness that this sport and this season had on me, and just how I can best bring that to Etna, and like the time management skills that I learned from this whole experience, and how I can just bring it to my everyday life and just where I'm looking to start my career at.
That's awesome. I really like to hear all of those great things that you got to take back from the season. What about a time when you had to go above and beyond the call of duty in order to get the job done?
So somewhere where I had to go above and beyond, I would say, was my internship last summer with Aon. They're an insurance broker, and they are very busy during the open enrollment period, just getting clients and their employees enrolled during their 2-week open enrollment period. So, which runs from early August to about early December. So in that August month, just being an intern, I was just doing anything I could to assist the account managers and the call center employees who they were working 12 plus hour days. So I was just doing, as an intern, since I wasn't directly working hands-on with the clients during their open enrollment, I was just assisting on the back end, like updating renewals, updating spreadsheets, and just like servicing them and getting their lunch and just helping them at the best that I could. And when they were still there on their 12-hour days, I felt that I wasn't going home because they were my mentors and they were my bosses, and just so I really felt that I went above and beyond to just better serve Aon's clients, even though I was in such a small position and such a small role.
That's great to hear that you were really looking for the full experience when you were an intern. What other things did you take on? You mentioned getting their lunches and helping them, assisting them in the office. What other tasks did you?
So just in that experience as a whole, I got to see the insurance brokerage industry and just how that works, being the middleman between the insurance companies and carriers to servicing the premiums and insurance offerings that they have and providing them to the clients, and just how the renewal process works and how property and casualty and just all the different lines of business that Aon has and how they work with their business partners and just to service their clients the best they could.
That's great. What strategies do you feel that you implemented for you to go above and beyond?
To go above and beyond, I guess, was just, it was something that was almost initiated and instilled in me by my parents. I like to think that they both have very strong work ethics. So that's just something that I believe that I am lucky enough to have gotten from them, was their strong work ethics, which I try to put into not only my work life, but my personal life, and instilling and just maintaining friendships, like even when you're a long distance friendship or a friend you haven't seen from a long time, and just kind of always going that extra mile or that extra step, even just to smile at someone or thank someone or hold the door for someone.
Yeah.
Just kind of putting that going above and beyond into my everyday life and into my work life especially.
That's great. I really liked how you said that you used initiative and you were instilled from your parents. What do you think the outcome of you doing this was?
I think the outcome of this, just staying around the clock to better serve my mentors and the people I was working with, I just think the outcome was that they were really satisfied and gave me very high recommendations, and just said that I did end up getting a full-time offer with them. However, am looking just for the next step in my career, and just they really did have some very strong recommendations moving forward and said if there was anything I ever needed, there were no ending on bad terms. So it's just something that I was very thankful for them, that they were thankful for me so much.
That's great that you were given the chance to network and even offered the position. So you pretty much answered my question what your feedback was on this accomplishment, but it sounds like you were already ready for the next step. They were ready to take you on full time, so I'm glad to hear that. How would you compare your effort to other interns that were in there?
So there were other interns in the office, and I guess I would just say on my efforts compared to them, I think being an intern, I was just so instilled to learn and just do almost everything I could. And I feel that some people also had that mindset and that motto, but then you do have the some interns that just do enough to kind of get by. And I think, like I just said, it was evident that I did get a full-time offer from them, and not everybody did. So I just think that was kind of just a reflection of the work ethic that I had compared to the other interns.
That must have boosted your confidence a lot. So that's great. What do you think you learned from all of this experience at the insurance company?
I definitely learned just a lot about myself and just what motivates me, and just how I was just so eager to learn, and just I learned a lot about the career aspirations that I had, and that insurance was something that really interested me, and just kind of going into a client-facing role, and just like a role where I was pushing myself to work these long hours, and like something that I knew I could do. Like I'm always just looking for that next kind of challenge. Like I want a position that is challenging and not just where clock in at 9 and leave at 5. Like just whatever it takes kind of to be your best version of yourself.
I love that because we definitely, like to see the people go above and beyond. In this company, we really like to see people be innovative and, not just look to be here from 9 to 5, like you said. What about a time that you have failed?
So a time that I have failed would probably be, so being in college and coming out of college, it's the first time you're being on your own, and you kind of don't have your parents to look over you. So one thing that happened for me was freshman year, I did get not into any serious trouble, just in the dormitories. I think not everybody goes through it, but I had some conduct issues, just minor things that I would say I did have to bring back to my parents and do community service through the school, and just kind of go through that. So that was just something for me that I learned, that your actions you are not invincible. And it was just definitely a time that I was very disappointed in myself, and I think that my parents and the people, my teammates around me, because it was something that took me out of field hockey for a couple of practices, again, just for a misconduct, and it was just something that I was not proud of. But I definitely did learn a lot from that experience, and how I can take that even something so minor can reflect not only yourself but the people around you.
Okay, so you mentioned it was a misconduct situation. What exactly was the situation that you were?
So I was 18 at the time, and it was an underage drinking violation. So, I mean, not to say that I was in college, but I mean, happens to the best of us, I think.
Yeah, oh, definitely. I understand that, kids will be kids at times. How do you think you dealt with it after I know you mentioned you were disappointed in yourself, but.
I think it was something that I had to kind of just take a look back and say, okay, like I am doing something that is wrong, and just kind of had to see the bigger picture, and how if this were to be a work-life situation, or if I were to be doing something that was wrong or unethical on my company's part, just how that could not only affect myself, but reflect the company and the values and the mission statements that they do have.
Right. So what was the end result of the situation? Did it get resolved right away? Or?
So it did take a week to resolve, with the 10 hours of community service that needed to be done. And then after that, I mean, luckily I never had any infringement or any misconducts after that, so it was definitely a result that I was not happy about, but that nothing further needed to be done aside from just the minor school incident.
Okay, how would you say, like, other people reacted? You said your teammates, had to suffer in this.
So yeah, so it was something that took me out of field hockey practicing for like about 5 days, I want to say. So again, not to say that it is college is an excuse for anything, but I definitely feel my teammates were disappointed in me, and just because I was only a freshman at the time, but for say that were to happen as a senior, and if I were to let that happen to me as a senior, being a senior captain, that would just reflect so badly. So even just being a freshman, I just wanted to take that initiative and personally apologize to my team for not being there that week. And I obviously made up what I had missed on my own time.
Yeah, that's great that you took the time to kind of grow up in a sense and say, hey, I made a mistake, and told the team, that you were sorry. How would you say, what was like your overall, what did you learn from the experience?
So overall, the most important thing I learned from that experience was just how my actions not only reflect myself, but how they reflect those around me. And just how it, at the time, was something that was so minor, but how in the larger picture, once I'm in my career and even just in my personal life, with relationships, how situations can just affect people around me, and just the larger picture in the end, that it might seem like something so little or minor at the time.
Right. That's really insightful. I'm glad that you learned from your mistake in that situation. I did have another question. What about a time that you had to motivate others? I know you touched upon this with field hockey, but maybe in your school life?
Yeah, so definitely my school life, at Sacred Heart, they are very big into the group projects, and I think each semester alone I've probably been working on at least 3 group projects at a time. So one thing that I found where I was motivating people, specifically in my capstone business class, strategic management, I was in a group with 4 other people, and I just found that I was the one taking initiative and taking charge. This was a semester-long project that was worth a majority of our grade based over the timeline of assignments that we had to do. And just I was really trying to motivate my group because I was not receiving a good response. They weren't really doing their part. There was one other person who was invested in the project and wanted to succeed because it was a competition based on who had the best presentation and fiscal analysis for our companies. So I was just really trying to motivate my group so that we could be the best of the 6 groups in our class, and just to really motivate my group and just to see an initiative from them that I really wanted to see because I am a competitive person and really wanted to win.
Of course. So the situation was that you were creating a presentation on fiscal analysis. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me more about that.
So we specifically had to work on the Kraft Heinz company and see their overall business strategies and how they fit into the consumer goods product industry and how they compared to their competitors, because everyone in the class, each group had a different consumer goods company, and we just had to compare them and see where Kraft Heinz can improve based on their business strategies and what new markets or segments or target markets they could go into.
Great. Yeah, we really have a lot of competition in the insurance industry with our products as well, so it's good that you know how to be innovative and look into different opportunities for improvements. What strategies do you think you use to motivate your team in terms of the project?
So like I said, this was a semester-long project, and there was the end goal. There was one winner for our class based on a group of professors in a panel from the business school. So just trying to motivate them. Whoever did win did get an A in the class. So that was just something that I think was really motivating for me. So I tried to motivate my group as best I could into doing their parts and just really finding the best sources and the best sources of data for this information.
Okay, how did do you think your plan made a difference?
I think that it did make a difference. We did end up doing very well on our project, me and the other person who were so invested. And in the beginning, first assignments, we kind of saw like a lack not so well. And then I think we kind of all opened our eyes to our performance and were kind of then motivated more so by the other groups around us. And we were like, okay, like we want to do better. We see how well they're doing. So just not only the motivation I was trying to instill, but just the motivation and the initiative of the people in the other groups around us.
Right. What did others on the team say about what you were doing?
So we did have a peer evaluation for each person's performance and how we felt that it went, and I did end up getting all of my points for performance evaluation. So I would definitely say that they were happy with my performance and there was no complaints.
That's great to hear. Obviously, you were doing your part as best as you could. How would you compare your motivation to others?
Like I said, there was one other person in the group of four that kind of was really on the ball as well and wanted to do the best for our group. And then I would say there were the other two who kind of needed to be said, hey, are you going to do your part of the project? Like, hey, like it's coming up this week. So that was hard. But I do think that I was one of the top performers in the group based on our performance.
That's great. What did you learn from doing this project?
So I just learned that although you can motivate people around you as much, it's just at the end of the day, you can only do so much. And people have all different mindsets. Like you're going to experience all different people with different backgrounds and different walks of life. And you just have to do the best that you can. There might be something going on in someone's life that might be affecting their performance, and just how you can better target that and just better try to understand them and just do the best you can to try to influence them.
Absolutely. We definitely strive to enforce diversity. Another question I had was about a time that you had to get information from someone who wasn't very responsive. I know this is kind of relative.
Yeah, so definitely something that is a bit repetitive. So I guess a different experience that I can compare on is we've all been through the interviewing process. And I think one thing that I've learned, and that was hard, that is responsive, is trying to get feedback from an interviewer or just someone that you were interviewing with, or even just the college recruiting and college committing process is trying to get feedback from someone in a position of a higher power than you, and just how you can just get a better response from them. So I guess through my internship search and job search, trying to get a better response from interview or hiring managers.
Okay, I appreciate your honesty. You know, sometimes it's not always easy to get information from people who are very busy in different roles. How did you make sure to get information in a timely manner?
So something that I had to get information in a timely manner in a situation like that would be just because when you are trying to secure summer internships, there are for school getting the credit that you need for those internships. They need to be registered by certain deadlines. So I just tried to do the best that I could by getting that information and just trying to not hound the interviewer as much as possible, but just trying to get a response and just keep up to date with the process and any feedback I could get on the process.
Okay, awesome. How was your ability influenced to get the results that you wanted?
So I did end up getting a lot of feedback, and I just felt that not pressuring them so much, but just trying to really get that feedback. I was able to end up securing an internship and then being able to register it in time through the school, so I was able to get the credit.
Awesome. How did your team say about your ability to get this information, or rather, the recruiter's office?
I mean, I think that the recruiter was annoyed to a sense, but I think they were almost motivated by the sense of urgency that I did have, and just that I wanted this information so badly. I was just so invested in a position with them. And so kind of they were happy with my initiative that I was taking, because they felt that I could bring that into the workforce.
That's great. I like that there was a positive in there. What do you think your team said, or maybe your family, about your initiative to get this information?
Yeah, so they definitely were happy with the initiative that I took. Just because I could have sat around and just not been fine not having an internship and just not getting the credit that I needed for school. However, it was something that I realized I needed, so I was just knew that I had to do it. So
Great. So how would you compare yourself to others in, getting something in a timely manner?
so I would definitely say that I had friends who were just fine with their summers and not having any internships and just kind of just laying around by the pool all day. So I think that I would say that my comparison was rather high. I was working 40-hour weeks, if not more. So just the fact that I took that initiative upon myself.
Great. So you were determined and you really dedicated your summer to this internship. That's great to hear. What were you able to learn about yourself in this situation?
So I just learned about the initiative that I did have, and just the motivations that I had. Like, I knew that I needed money for the summer to pay for school and just pay for having a social life at the end of the day. So, I mean, not to say that I was motivated by money, but I'm not the type of person that can just also lay around all day and just not do nothing. And like, I'm just like so eager to start my career and get that experience. So that was just something that I really learned from this experience.
That's great. I'm sure that your internship taught you a lot. I'm glad that you ended up being able to go through with it. How about a time when you had difficulty working with a manager or other team members?
So a time that I would say I struggled working with other team members would be, so I used to be a waitress at a local ice cream parlor in Ocean City, New Jersey, and this was one of Ocean City's busiest ice cream parlors in the months of July and August, servicing about $10,000 in revenue through a single weekend. So the time that I struggled with employees in this is, you are working in such a small room, almost, not a room, but such a small area, where you had 6 employees working at a time in such a fast-paced environment. So I didn't necessarily struggle with a specific employee, but it was just working in such a small, fast-paced environment was very hard for me to get adapt to in such a short period of time. You're always bumping into people, and then you're having to service the client and not make any mistakes on their ice cream orders, because we were serving 15 different flavors of ice cream to all different flavors or variety of cones and sizes and milkshake orders. And we also had donuts and coffee being served. So just to make sure that we were offering the clients or our customers their orders correctly in a timely manner and not getting in the way of your other employees. So it was a struggle that I did have.
Yeah, I see why that would be such a huge struggle, but what do you think you either could have done or did do to resolve the issue?
So one thing that I did to resolve the issue was we all took up the initiative and decided to start doing a better, not so much a system, but we were, during our day shifts that were much slower, kind of decided how we can prepare for the nighttime rushes. And just so we started a system of having a select amount of people on orders and then passing the customer slip down to the people who could run the orders, and then to the cash register, and then the runners of the food. Just because each night was so different with the rush and so many different orders and just different customer sizes, and just so we kind of just try to put the best practices into place that could really work to best serve the customers.
That's great. You were all ultimately able to settle your differences?
Yes, we were. So we were able to all work in such a close confinement of a space, and just we saw less customer orders getting messed up, and we were all able to work in a safer environment even because we were just like handling food and hot beverages and making additional waffle cones and hot waffles at times. So it overall was a better experience and we were able to set aside our differences and just overall have a better working experience.
Okay. What would you say others on the team would say about your effort to?
So I think that we all collectively did try to see how we could better work in this type of confinement and help our customers. But I think my performance was definitely on the higher end because being in just a customer service role, you really need to find how you can best serve your customers. So that was something that I really wanted to do. And some people just kind of wanted to make their money and get their tips. But overall, I felt that I was putting the customer's best interests in mind.
Okay, how would you compare your conflict to others with others' conflicts?
So I felt that other conflicts, some people who had been in the food service industry for much longer periods of time were able to adapt a bit quicker than I was. This was my first year in the food service industry, so I think that is why I was able to adapt, why I was a little slower to adapt. However, once we had the service put in place, and I mean, I didn't struggle necessarily like every time. It was just certain times there was more people on call than usual. But I think once we got the hang of it, once I personally had the hang of it, I was just in a flow and getting it going.
So ultimately, what did you learn from this experience?
I just learned how to work in such a fast-paced and a small environment, and just how to work best with your employees just to best serve your customers.
That's great. How about a time where you were on a team and you really did struggle with an employee?
So a time when I was on a team and did struggle with an employee, I guess, looking back at a time when I worked at a smaller property and casualty insurance agency, I worked on a team of 13 internal employees in their marketing and communications department. So I guess a time when I struggled with an employee was we were specifically working together on a project and they just weren't meeting the customer's deadlines. We kind of assigned it that I was doing the client-facing role and doing the presentations, and they were doing the back-end research, and then we kind of both collaborated and worked together because they weren't as comfortable doing the presentation aspect where I was more comfortable. And then we did start to struggle a little bit that the presentations she wasn't finishing them in a specific period of time and just wasn't meeting the deadlines that we set. So then it was just harder for me because I had to take the initiative and do the work that she wasn't making up for. So we did kind of have a bit of a struggle there.
So what actions did you put into place?
So I did have to get my manager involved, and so we did put in place a schedule, a timeline to meet with our manager to just, because overall our work reflected her as our manager, so we had weekly meetings just to update her on our progress and how we were working on these client presentations and client accounts.
Okay, so what was the ultimate result? Did you finish the presentation?
So we were able to finish and end on a positive note, just to meet our clients' presentation needs and get the sale and get the lead generated for our sales representatives. So something that was negative was we did struggle working together. However, over the 3-month period, we were able to overcome that and get the client's business. So
that's great. What would you say that your manager's feedback was in this situation?
So she was a little disappointed with us at first because it would have been ideal if she didn't have to get involved, but I mean, duty called and it just needed to be taken to that precaution just for our company's best interest and to just best serve our clients and their clients' interests. But at the end result, we did get the lead and we did get the sale that we needed, so our manager was satisfied with that.
That's great. How would you compare yourself to the other employees in this project?
So I just think that I was meeting my personal timelines and staying on budget and on track and on schedule with everything on my end, and I just felt that she wasn't holding up the same end of the bargain. So, not to put myself on a pedestal, but I just felt that our performance just wasn't being matched.
Right. Okay. What did you gain from this overall experience?
So I just gained that when you're working with other people, maybe we weren't setting clear expectations for each other when first starting this project. So maybe I have to put that on myself, and just I wasn't setting the expectations clear enough. So I just learned a lot about how to work with different people and how to just put differences aside and put our company's best interest in mind and our clients' interest best in mind.
Absolutely. I think you went through a lot with me today, and I really appreciate all your well-detailed answers. I'm glad that you had a lot of experiences to talk about with me. Is there any questions that you have for me?
I guess just what would the next steps be? When can I expect to hear from you?
So in about a week, you should get an email, and if you get an offer, there will be a link, and you'll get a phone call from me as well.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time to meet with me today, Amber.
Thank you so much for coming in, Colleen. I look forward to seeing you again.
Oh yeah, thank you.